So jump in, Troy.
Okay, let's keep going. Again, the 3 points, these are 3 commitments. We need to meet all of them. We'll change the language a little bit. I completely recognize what you're saying. These do open up the opportunity for a performance management program, and we do have some experience with such a performance management program. This performance management program, which is focused on the health and safety file, was initiated by this sector in 2009. It does lead sectors, certainly. It's supported by the OHS ministries and WCBs of British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. It's already in 3 jurisdictions, so government and regulator from this perspective. We've established in this program the largest source of objective information available to the sector internationally, so it is world-class. We currently gather data from the workers' compensation boards of the 3 provinces listed here quarterly, so it's very timely as well. So all this infrastructure is existing, and it is transferable to methane, as you'll see when we walk you through a demonstration. So this speaks to the infrastructure proof of concept. But do we also have a proof of concept in using this health and safety example of making better decisions based on a clear understanding of the different sources and a clear data-driven understanding of the different sources? So in fact we do, and it's quite a large example in health and safety. The first row here describes what the health and safety issues the industry was focused on before we had this data-driven program. After we had the data-driven program, we went back and we examined these self-identified sources and their impact on the industry. And what we found was we were looking in the wrong areas, essentially. The total impact of the sources we had our $40 million a year safety association focused on the total impact was 95 injuries a year, 584 time lost days, and $750,000 in claims cost. When we went back and looked at our data and identified the top 3 issues based on that data, we found that within those top 3 issues alone, we could be impacting the total number of injuries by 31%, the total time lost by 33%, and the total cost by 25%. Meaning essentially, moving from those self-identified sources to those identified with data, with good, accurate data, positioned us to have a 12 times greater impact on injuries, 20 times greater impact on time loss, and 25 times greater impact on cost. So how does this program work? How is it essentially structured? Well, first of all, it's based on the appreciation that when you take performance data and distill that data with good subject matter knowledge, you get information and informed and efficient management. So how this program works is we take actual health and safety information that we gather from the provincial workers' compensation boards. We centralize that information and we connect it to transparent analytics so that we have a common version of the truth, and the methodologies we're using are open to all to examine and critique and evolve. And the information outputs that come out of the centralized data and the real-time transparent analytics give us a program to deliver current and future targets. Now, importantly, this is health information, and health information is governed by the Health Information Act, which is comes with the most stringent privacy and security requirements possible in the province of Alberta. So this infrastructure is locked down, for lack of a better term, and it's periodically audited by the Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner in Alberta. Anytime we make a change, we need to go through a privacy impact assessment. And it's managed by a third party. Okay? What this gives us the ability to do is provide tiered, secure access to the different stakeholder groups that have an interest in this information. For the public and stakeholders like the OHS ministries and the WCBs, they're interested in a series of outputs that allow oversight. For CAP and the operators, they're interested in managing the issues, right, with getting that reduction in this context. So there's a series of outputs here that help them to identify where those issues are and how they're most cost effectively addressed. Okay? So the reason I've said tiered here and stacked these different parties up is this is meant to relay that the operator has access to all the information, but only within that operator in the health and safety context. Your NCANAs cannot access your Cenovus's information. They're locked down and secure, and again, that security is audited by the Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner, so we know it works. There's been 0 breaches in this program. CAP sits on top of this. CAP currently sees a roll-up, a member aggregate, but doesn't have the ability to drill down into the operator. The OHS ministries and WCBs within the system, they're focused on oversight. Of course, they have this information in-house already. And the public, we create a number of resources that describes the performance transparently to satisfy that public need. So let's now compare this scenario to what we currently have in methane, which is very much based on estimates. So we have an ECCC emissions analysis model, which, because we haven't been given complete access to this model, we don't understand all the assumptions and all the methodologies. It remains a black box. Okay? It is functioning based on a snapshot of information that considers 2013 only. We don't understand the methodology and the analytics, so we're going to use this as a question mark, and we don't have a lot of confidence in the outputs. We're seeing a lot of variability as we've established. Where is the program to deliver outcomes here? We have a model, we have some outputs, which we have some questions about, but where are these pieces? Where is the information we need to transparently report performance? Where is the information we need for operators to manage these issues? This same scenario, with the slight change that the U.S. is performing their standard survey to gather information to generate a snapshot, is relatively consistent across the 3 nations that are partnered in this agreement. Where is the transparent analytics? Where is the program to deliver outcomes? And as a result, it looks like we have some uncertainty here, and with that, political and economic risk. What is being proposed here is a movement toward actual. So there's a spectrum, we believe, from estimated emissions to actual emissions, and as we move from estimates to actual, we get increasing accuracy and decreasing risk. Right now, we're on the estimated emissions end of the spectrum, and that's where the ECCC model lies. We understand that the AER is developing an additional model, but we don't have any insight into that model either, so I'm going to call that a black box estimation model as well. Now, what we need to realize is that the operators actually do have an understanding, and it's a spectrum of understanding, but an understanding of the equipment they have within those facilities and the emissions associated with those pieces of equipment. And this information is farther along, toward the actual end of the spectrum than these current estimation methods. So what we would propose is first creating a central data set where we can describe sources and emissions at the facility level using the ECCC model. So we'll take that model and we'll project sources and the associated emissions to the facilities. We will then create another data set or expand that data set using the information that's already present within the operator systems. These may be internal systems, or they may be the systems offered by the vendors that the operators are using. So we'll create now a far closer to actual understanding of what the equipment and emissions is on at those individual facilities. And this would represent a step change in rigor and accuracy. Now we're not all the way to actual, but we will evolve this understanding as required to answer the political and business questions we need to answer moving forward. We believe that this approach would allow us to meet some shared goals. It would position Canada as a leader among international peers. It would position the Canadian upstream oil and gas industry to meet or exceed reduction targets through managed, logical, effective, and efficient action. And the program would have some very important attributes. It would have oversight by a representative stakeholder group. It would represent a rigorous progression from estimates to actual, be transparent in its performance reporting and analytics. And importantly, the concept, the technology, the learnings would be portable to the other jurisdictions in Canada, but also to the other nations involved in the agreement. So what I want to show you now, maybe we'll just take a quick break and make sure there are no questions, but I want to demonstrate these outputs that we have, we've created in a demo based on the work we've done here to take the ECCC model and the production information that is available in Petronex and project that down to the facility level to show you what we can do with the existing infrastructure. Now, the demo, the information isn't calibrated. It hasn't been vetted by our methane task group that is stood up and ready to go. So you won't see accurate numbers, but you'll certainly see the concepts and get the message, I think.